In this video, I'd like to cover the art of the possible today, available to users within the DocuSign CLM. So here we're going to click on our task and we're going to be brought to this e-form that does a couple of things for us. Once it loads, it is loading in the extracted clauses have come from the DocuSign CLM large language model. That large language model, or LLM, extracted clauses and had two runs, a 937 run and then a 951 run against it. You could have multiple runs if you're thinking of like redlining concepts. So you could actually see a progression of changes per category of clause type. That's kind of nifty. It could also be used to send that information off to a large language model for analysis. So a lot of potential here. What we also have are the clauses from the clause library. They're readily read in and available to you. You do have the ability to move things around here, so whatever the layout needed to be, that can be customizable. What else is on this page though? The prompt. So there can be multitudes of prompts. Prompts are just like the clauses. However, we're going to give a little naming convention to them, but they're edited and modified the same way that clauses are. So inside the prompt editor, if you will, it's no different than if you were to create a clause. So it's reusing that mental muscle for how you build things, but you're going to write the instructions that you want and potentially the output that you wish to see for the LLM to work on. So prompts get pulled in. So if we had a multitude of prompts, great, we can edit them. Attributes and document history are additions, add-ons. These are things that could be helpful or useful for reviewing the whole of this document or ignored. And I'll have features in the future that allow for show hide of these things. But I think the most important part that I want to show for this video is let's actually send this off for a further review. What do I mean by that? Well, these clauses were already extracted from the LLM. DocuSign is providing 17 data points and growing of clause information from contracts. Now, do you have to use the DocuSign CLM to get these extractions? Well, at present, that is part of this workflow. But you could make the argument that if you were to take an agreement and send it to another LLM and say extract this information, it conceivably could replicate that. But for purposes of what the CLM is offering today, you get this all ready to go and it's a workflow step. So that's how this has been built. This was sent and it's in a prior video that I've covered that. Now the prompt, again, using the clause to edit it and create it, the prompt is the instruction to the large language model for what we're looking to do with our analysis of these selected clauses. Now, I'm not involving any company clauses at this time. I could write a prompt, however, that talks to that. But for this example, we're going to have a prompt. It's going to look at categories of risk, compliance, and cost to a business, and it's going to do some ratings for us and give us some results. So here we have Chat 3.5 Turbo, ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo from OpenAI. That's been wired up. If I try to run this, even though I've made my selections, we get a nice little validation. So let's make sure we've selected that, and we're going to get a little more validation. These are the AI extracted clauses that you want to run. You're not involving anything from your clause library for this prompt, and here is the prompt that you selected. So let's go ahead and let's send this off to the ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo large language model, and we see it brought us back the results pretty quick. Now, what happened is, in the process of the actual analysis, I instructed the large language model to construct a table. And it applied the various categories based on my instructions, as well as some ratings, and then highlighting of the impact to the business. What's great about this is through the prompt, I have the ability to inject code back into this page. Previously, you would take the response and you would write code to handle that. It no longer is necessary. And this is how you can help train the LLM via the prompt with an example of what you're looking to respond. So that's really great. It's something to think a little bit more about, because with the fundamentals, at least of web technology, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you have a very, very powerful tool at your fingertips that doesn't necessarily need you to write the exact code, but give it those instructions for what to do. So what do we have here? Well, we've got a dynamic table just like all the other ones. We can export this, we can search it, we can do all those great features. We just clicked on ratings here to sort them according to the ratings. And we have our categories that it looked at. We have snippets or the actual reproduction of the clause. And again, this is an assistant. This is the term co-pilot's used a lot. I've seen co-counsel, but let's put all of that aside. This is an assist to the human. This is not a replacement of the human. You run this another time, you can get some different results. Now you say, well, that's ridiculous. It should be consistent. There's a margin of error here. There's definitely a margin of error. How good the prompt is, how good the model is, how clean is the data you're sending. All of those are variables that when it comes to the final result coming back, it's really meant to be an assistant. Don't treat it as the be-all, end-all. The human still needs to take a look at these. But what it is helpful for is that at a glance and the ability to dig deeper in areas where, this compliance, this is something we might want to take a look at. This goes across all data types. So for here, we're using clauses. But if you have the ability to get access to the underlying data, then a prompt can be crafted and that information sent for review, summarization, interpretation, if you will. So think of it again as an assistant or an assist to the human, but not a replacement. That's just not at this time, and I don't think ever going to be the final outcome. You still need a human to interpret this and make sure that the results that are returned are truly correct. But this is the art of the possible today. This is running. This is a live example working with data, hitting a live LLM, all within an e-form, all within DocuSign CLM. Thanks.